welcome back again to Chinmoyee's biology channel. So this is the second lesson of combustion and flame. So in the first lesson we have already discussed about what is combustion, what is ignition temperature, what are inflammable substances, and we have also told a bit about the history of matchstick. So today we are going to learn about how to control fire. That is, we are going to discuss about fire extinguisher and the types of combustion. So without further delay, let's get started with today's episode of combustion and flame. So now we start with how do we control fire. So you must have seen that breaking fires in certain homes, in shops, in factories. So now and then you get to see the news in that in certain factories the fire is exploded. Fire explosion of something has happened. So fire has by accident it has come up in some homes or shops. So how can we control this fire? So here you can write a short description in your notebook if you have experienced any such fire outbreaks in the homes, shops or factories, or you have seen any news from any news channel of any fire outbreak, so that you can make a notebook and write the note of that. Now find out the telephone number of fire service in your area. It's very important that you should find out the number of the fire service, and you should know it. If the fire breaks in your house or your neighborhood, the first thing to do is to call the fire service, right? So it is very important for all of us to know the telephone number. So today, the first thing you should do after reading this, you should ask your parents that what is the fire service number of your city, or general fire service number we all know, right? Now, does your city, town have a fire brigade station? And just know the telephone number of fire service in your area. So what is the fire service number in your area? You should know that, so that in case of emergency you can call them. Now, does your city, your town have a fire brigade? So what does a fire brigade do? So when you are seeing news of a fire outbreak, what do you see? As soon as the fire brigade arrives, what does it do? They generally start pouring water on fire. So water cools the combustible material. So previously, in the previous episode, in the previous part of the lesson, I have told you what is a combustible substance, and so that its temperature is brought below the ignition temperature. So ignition temperature also I have discussed in the previous class. So if you have not gone through that previous topic, you need to go through that, and then only you will understand this lesson better. Now this prevents the fire from spreading. Now water vapors also surround the combustible material. So the thing which is burning is the combustible material. When water is being put on that, what is happening? We can say that there are accumulation of water vapors around the combustible area, which is helping in cutting off the air. So the fire is gradually extinguished. Okay. So we have also learned about the 3 essential requirements producing fire. Okay, so can you list them? So these are what? These are fuel, these are air, and these are heat to raise the temperature of the fuel. Okay, so 3 things are very much required for the production of heat, or we can say for burning. So fuel, air and heat to raise the temperature of the fuel beyond the ignition temperature so that it can ignite. So fire can be controlled by removing one or more of these requirements. So if one of these requirements are cut off, then only fire can be extinguished. So what is the job of the fire extinguisher? So the job of the fire extinguisher is to cut off the supply of air, or to bring down the temperature of the fuel. So either to cut off the temperature of the air, this supply of air to the combustible substance, or to bring down the temperature of the fuel, or both. So we can notice that the fuel in most of the cases cannot be eliminated. So if, for instance, a building catches fire, the whole building is the fuel. So if the building is catching fire, the whole building is acting as a fuel. So in that cases, we need to be very much cautious to extinguish the fire, or the fire brigades need to be very much cautious while putting off the fire. So let's see how the fire extinguisher is working. Here we start with the most common fire extinguisher. So what is the most common fire extinguisher? That is water. So whenever we see any form of fire is coming out, we start applying water on that. Okay, so at home also, if anything something happens, so we can apply water on that. So water works only when wood or paper is on fire. But in case of electrical equipment on fire, water may conduct electricity or harm to those trying to douse the fire. So what does it mean? Suppose you are having a short circuit, and from that meter or short circuit, your fire has broken out in your house. So from this outbreak of fire, if you are trying to douse the fire with the help of water, what will happen? You may get electrocuted, or as water is a good conductor of electricity, from that point of electric circuit you may get electrocuted. So you may also get harmed by that electricity. So it's better not to douse fire, put off fire with water when it is caused by any electrical equipments. Okay, so water is not at all suitable for fires involving oil and petrol also. So we can say that water is heavier than oil. So oil will always float on the top of water, and water will sink below. So oil will keep on burning. If you are putting water on a fire which has been created by oil, like kerosene, petrol and all, oil will keep on burning, and if you are pouring water, water will just sink at the bottom. So for fires involving electrical equipment and inflammable materials like petrol, carbon dioxide is the best fire extinguisher. So in these fire extinguishers, which we are seeing in several apartments, malls, schools, hospitals and all, what do these fire extinguishers contain? These fire extinguishers contain carbon dioxide gas. So this is a very suitable fire extinguisher. And we can say that it is best fire extinguisher because it is being heavier than oxygen, covers the fire like a blanket. Okay, so carbon dioxide is always heavier than oxygen and is covering the fire as a blanket. And since the contact between the fuel and oxygen is cut off, what is happening? As the oxygen and fuel, it is cut off, the fire is controlled and it is gradually extinguished. Now, what is the added advantage of this one? The added advantage of carbon dioxide is that in most cases, it does not harm the electrical equipment. Suppose there is a short circuit, from that there fire is there. If you go near to that and put this fire extinguisher, the fire will doze off and there will be no harm caused to that electrical equipment. Okay, so it is very important. You should learn this properly. Now, how to get the supply of carbon dioxide? It can be stored at high pressure as liquid in cylinders in the form of LPG stored in cylinders. When released from the cylinder, carbon dioxide expands enormously. So under pressure it is stored in these fire extinguishers, and when it is forcefully pressed and it comes out, it increases its volume enormously and it cools down. And it not only forms a blanket around the fire, it also brings down the temperature of the fuel. So what does it mean? The ignition temperature is brought down, and that is why it is an excellent fire extinguisher. And another way to get CO2 is to release a lot of dry powder chemicals like sodium bicarbonate, baking soda or potassium bicarbonate. So near the fire, these chemicals give off carbon dioxide. So if you are not having fire extinguisher at home, so if suddenly a fire breaks out from an electrical equipment, you can throw some amount of baking soda or potassium permanganate. If you are having these chemicals at home, they will also emit carbon dioxide, and they can be much helpful in extinguishing the fire. Is it clear? Now we will move on to the different types of combustion. Okay, let us move on to that. Now comes the types of combustion. So combustion, ignition temperature, inflammable substance, combustible, non-combustible. So all we have made it clear till now. Now we are moving to the types of combustion. So what do we know? So burning a matchstick or a gas lighter near a gas stove in a kitchen. So let us do that. But when you are trying to turn off the knob of a gas and you are trying to light the gas with this gas stove lighter, your parents should be near to you. You should never try this alone, right? You are little kids now. You should not go near to the burning matchstick, or you should not try these experiments on your own. So tell your parents, tell them to take you to the kitchen and you just turn on the knob of the gas stove. What do you observe? So we are observing that the gas burns rapidly and it is producing heat and light. So such a combustion is known as rapid combustion, right? So when spontaneously you are lighting the gas lighter and the gas burns rapidly, producing heat and light, so this is called a rapid combustion. Now there are substances like phosphorus which burn in air at room temperature. So phosphorus at room temperature only, it starts burning whenever it comes in contact with oxygen. So the type of combustion in which a material is suddenly bursts into flame without the application of any apparent cause is called spontaneous combustion. So it's very interesting. So whenever a substance in a general normal temperature only, it starts burning or it starts exploding. So what is that? That type of combustion is called spontaneous combustion. And the combustion when you are applying you are burning the gas with the help of a matchstick or a gas stove lighter, then this type of this combustion is called rapid combustion. So two types of combustion, rapid combustion and spontaneous combustion. Is it clear to all? Now we will move on to what is explosion. Now here just see in this box what they have written. Spontaneous combustion of coal dust has resulted in many disastrous fires in coal mines. So coal dust, it also undergoes spontaneous combustion. So in coal mines there are coal dust which automatically when they come in the contact with the normal air only, spontaneously they burn. Now spontaneous forest fires are sometimes due to heat of the sun or due to lightning strikes. So due to lightning also forest fires may burn, or due to heat of the sun also. So however, we can say that most forest fires are due to carelessness of human beings. So we humans are very much careless. So what we do, generally we do campfires in the forest and we forget to extinguish the fire properly before leaving the picnic spot or the visit. So we should put off the campfire before leaving the place properly, so that it should not form a forest fire. So it's very harmful for not only as they are burning huge lot of trees, it's also harmful for us as it is creating a huge lot of air pollution, right? And they are burning down completely the forest. So without forests, our pollution level is going up and our ecosystem is badly disturbed, right? We all know that. So we should remember these things in our mind, that campfire should be put off before we leave the place. Now, we generally have fireworks on festival days. Now, when a cracker is ignited, a sudden reaction takes place with the evolution of heat, light and sound. So, when you are lighting up the cracker, a sudden spark is there and a sudden heat, light and sound comes. So, a large amount of gas formed in this reaction is liberated, and such a reaction is called explosion. So, what is explosion? Explosion is it is taking place in pressure and is applied on the cracker. So explosion can also take place if pressure is applied and on the cracker generally. Now we can say that a large amount of gas is formed and the reaction is liberating large amount of gas. Such a reaction is called explosion. So we will go to the definition of explosion now in details. What is explosion? So what is the definition of explosion? So properly, if you want to discuss what is explosion is a rapid expansion of a volume of a given amount of matter. So a given amount of matter is expanding in volume associated with an extreme outward release of energy. So it is expanding in volume with an extreme amount of release of energy, and usually with the generation of high temperature and a release of high pressure gases. So this is what is happening in an explosion. So it is associated with extreme volume expansion, with extreme outward release of energy, with extreme high temperature and high pressure gases. So this, you can see a picture of explosion here. This is how explosion is happening, and it is releasing high pressure gases also in explosion. So this is what I have discussed in today's episode till explosion, fire extinguisher, types of combustion and all. So it's a very short and simple lesson. So in tomorrow's lesson, I'll be discussing with flames and types of flames. So let us make it short, and let's in the next episode we will complete the full lesson of combustion and flame. So still then, you need to stay tuned, stay updated with all the lessons I'm posting. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, join my channel, so that whenever I'm posting lessons as per your curriculum, you can go through it and learn the lessons in an easy and systematic manner. Thank you.